to Enchanted Pixie DIY. Today we are going to be making these ears here. They're snack ears. So we're going to take the fabric that we chose and we're going to lay it on top of a cutting board if you want to. I do, just so that way I don't get marker on anything. And then we're going to take a ear template. You can Google these and download them. You can trace a real ear from Disney to get it. I will try to link it in the comments to see if you can. And we're just going to trace that 4 times on here because we need 4 pieces, a front and a back for 2 ears. And then I just kind of pick, like on this fabric, since it has different snack designs, I try to pick which ones I want on the ear. So that's why I'm moving it in different spots like that to pick. And then you just do that till you have 4 of them. I want to apologize for the blurriness and the out of focus on here. I didn't realize the camera was doing that. Then you're going to cut all 4 of those out. And then I like to take mine and pair them up to see which one I want. So like that's going to be the front and back for one ear. And then the other one will be the front and back for the second ear. So that way I already know how I want it to be. And then we're going to move those to the side. And we're going to either grab these coasters that you can get offline, or you can just use a cardboard box. I've used Amazon boxes, post office boxes, any kind of box you can use. I just prefer these. And then you're going to take your smaller template, which you can just make it smaller. Like I said, you can Google these and download them. I'll try to figure out how to link them in the comments. And this is going to be like a foam and batting template, and you're just going to trace that on 4 of those paper coasters. And then you're just going to cut those out. You can either use scissors or a rotary blade, whichever one you prefer. And then once I have those cut out, I just pair them up and then I trim them to be even. I make sure that they both match completely. And I do that for both of the pairs of ears. So I did the first one, I made them match up, and then the second pair I made them match up. And then once they both match up, I grab the headband and I put them on there and try to figure out which side they fit on there the best. And I do this before I make them completely because that way it helps. And then I mark 1 and 2, and then you'll see I put a T, and that means for top. So that way I know that is going to be the top of both ears. Then I flip them over to the sides that don't have numbers and put hot glue all over them. And then you can stick on there either some polyfill, some pillow stuffing. I get this batting. It's like $5 a yard at Joann's, and I just cut it up, and that's what I use. And then once I have that on there, I just trim around the ear until it's all cut off, and I do this for all 4 pieces. Again, I apologize for the buffering or the focusing. And then now that I have all 4 of them, I pair them back up and I set them aside for a second. And then I forgot to film this, but I just take some felt, preferably white or black, but I didn't have any, so I just used these. And I used that small template and cut them out, 4 of them, one for each ear. And then I am going to take one of those ears and I'm going to put hot glue all over the fluffy stuffing part. And then I'm going to stick that to one of those felt pieces. And what that does is it stops the stuffing from coming through the fabric. It's like a barrier for it. And I do that for all 4 ears. Trim around the edges of that felt just to make it match up with the rest of the ear. Now that I have all 4 of mine done, we can start with the fabric. I take my top piece and the piece of fabric I want to be the top, and then in small sections you just apply hot glue around the edge and pat it down. And you do this all the way around. Don't do the bottom till the end. But if you're just starting out, do smaller section. I've made over 200 ears, so I kind of do bigger sections. And this little pink thing is from the Dollar Tree, and they are so amazing. It stops it from burning my fingers when I'm patting it down. Once you have all of the edges done, you can move on to the bottom. I like to put some hot glue right in the middle, and then I pull it kind of tight and pat it down. And then I do the edges, making sure to tuck them towards the center so that way they're not poking over the ear. And then once you do that, you have one of half of your ear done. And you're going to do that for all 4 pieces. So once you have your pieces done, you're going to kind of smush them together like a macaroon kind of thing. And so you're going to make sure you have your one top piece and your one bottom piece separate from your twos, and you're going to put hot glue all around the edge but not too close to the edge so it don't come out, and then all inside. You want a lot of it to hold it together. Then I just match them up and I pull it up to make sure both pieces touch the bottom, and then I hold it for about a minute to make sure that it bonds together. You do that for both pairs of your ears. You're going to set that aside and get I use this spacing template. You could just take a pair of real Disney ears and trace it, or you can Google it and download it. I think that's what I did for this one. And I just match up to make sure that they still fit good on the headband, and it just helps me line it up when I go to glue them on. And then I take the first pair, and then you're just going to put a slight line right on the bottom. You don't want a lot where it'll pull out and you can see it, but you don't want too less or it won't hold. And then I just slide it on there and I hold this for about 2 minutes. And I do this for both sides because I want it to bond, so make sure you hold it for a while. Okay, so now we're going to add on our trim. I am using this blue like beaded trim, and you can use rope trim, lace trim, pom-pom trim. This is just the one I chose. And then for the trim, I always start at the end that's at the bottom, because if it doesn't line up perfect, that end people are gonna see, because the other end, the bow will cover it. So I start at that end and I just go all the way around the ear, and I just pat it down. I just make a small glue mark and I just pat it down all the way around. And then once I get so far around, I do measure it on over to the end. That way I can cut it. before I finish gluing it down. So then once I cut it, I make sure it measures perfect, then I pull it back and I put the glue and then I glue it down the rest of the way. And then once I do that, I'm going to put a dollop at the top because again, the bow will hide this at the top, at the bottom, because we're going to go around the bottom now. So I just hold that in place and I put a line of glue at the bottom. A small thin line is all you need because you don't want the glue to show. And I just go all the way around the ear to the other side. And I make sure that when I get to the other side, I do the same thing. I glue until I get to a little section left, and then I measure it up, and then I cut it in place, and then I finish gluing it. And then here it is with all the trim and on it completely. And now we're going to pull the spacing template back out. If you choose to use one, you can use a real pair of ears. And then we're going to put a bow on. This bow is already made. I will include a template later on how to make it, a different bow. And then I just put a dollop of glue on the bottom, and I use the template to help make it where I want it, and I place it and hold it for about a minute. I do hate making bows, so I do buy mine. I think I buy mine for like $1.80 a bow online, but I will include a tutorial on how to make a quick bow, um, so that way if you want to make your own bows, you can. Here it is all finished with the bow and everything on it. And then if you do choose to make your bow, you just grab the fabric you're going to use and cut it. I don't really measure mine. I just kind of eye it. I know it's pretty big. Um, I think it's probably like about a 10 by 8 rectangle that I use. And you want to definitely make yours a lot nicer than mine. I'm just doing mine quickly for the tutorial. And I just trim it up, trying to fix the edge there because it is a little rough. And I know that like my green thing, my cutter is 6 by 8 and my fabric is bigger than that. So I would say it's probably like a 10 by 8, or yeah, a 10 by 8. And then we're just going to match the ends up, and this is just me seeing how, if this is big enough for me to like, so I just check it out and it is. And then we're just going to put some hot glue all across the edge, and then we're going to fold it over. And my first piece is a little more than halfway, and then my second piece will just come down over and meet that first piece. And then I just tap that down to match, to line up with the other piece. And then we're going to take the other sides, and I put a little glue on the inside just to hold them together, and then a line across the top. Now when you pat this down, you want to put your corners in a little bit, that way they don't hang over the edge. You want that nice edge, so I kind of push them in a little bit, and I do that to both sides. Some glue on the inside and then a line across the top, and then I pull the inner corners in just a little and pat that down. And then after that, you're just going to accordion fold it, or you fold it back and forwards, or you can pinch fold it, whichever you like. And you just accordion fold it, and then you can see the bow is forming. Now that we have that, I am going to put glue in all of the openings on the front and the back to hold the bow together. And then just cut a small little strip of fabric, and we're going to put some glue on the bottom of the bow, put that little strip on there. I wrap it around really tight, and then we're going to glue some more on the bottom and to hold it in place. And then trim any excess, and glue anything else down that you need to, and you have a bow. And then here was our finished ears that we made. Thank you for watching.